I never saw college as something that I would be able to attend. Growing up in Northeast Mississippi, there wasn't a lot of options for that. Lived in a very rural community, way out in the country. And we would get up in the mornings, bottle feed our calves, take care of whatever other livestock we had at the time, and go get ready for school and get headed out. Go to school for the day, come home, and then once we got home, it was time to change, climb on a tractor, and go farm, work the land. We raised a lot of crops. Most of it was for sale, but at the same time, a lot of the stuff we raised was for us to eat. We lived in a very low social economic status area, and we were on kind of the lower end of that scale. So most of the food that we ate, we grew. A lot of the other food we had, if we wanted meat, we would either go hunt or go fish. So I never really thought college is something I could actually be part of. Because back then, everybody lived out in the country, so we always saw each other as equal, and only rich people got to go to college. At least that's how we saw it. As I got out of high school, I decided to join the military. I knew I didn't want to really stay there, but I did want to get out and do some other things. So I joined the military, joined the Army, and became a medic. It wasn't but a few years into that I was able to teach my first class. And that's when I got the bug. Really enjoyed teaching. Started teaching some medical classes. After a while in the Army, I wanted to try something different, so I went to the Air Force. And a few years into that, I again had the opportunity to go be an instructor. This time it was teaching medical people how to do their job in a deployed environment, weapons, safety, things like that. And it really got me thinking about being a teacher and being an instructor again. So that's when I started looking into an education degree after my retirement. You see, the military had taught me a lot about how to teach, but not the whys and the hows that come from the different theories. One of the first introductions into this is when I read Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed. In it, he talks about how the poor are treated differently in schools and do not get the same type of education as children from higher socioeconomic areas. Looking back, I understand that now. At the time I was in school, everyone was treated the same. We all went to small country schools, and we really didn't understand that in that area we were being treated differently than people from other areas. He also went on to say that political action on the side of the oppressed must be pedagogical and therefore action with the oppressed, which I thought was an incredible thing for him to say, because I've always believed in it. It means instead of just giving someone a handout, you give them a helping hand. So he felt that if any legislation was going to be made, it must help people, not just make those who are making the legislation feel like they're helping, but actually make a difference. Another of the whys came when I heard about Lev Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. Now, to put this simply, people learn certain things at certain ages or developmental levels. So the different stages as they grow older is they're able to learn things differently. Now, this is when the student's best prepared mentally so they understand the lessons that are being taught. He believed that if there was a problem with the learner, though, that you had to understand not just the learner and the developmental stage they were in, but also the teacher. He didn't believe that just doing a psychological analysis of the teacher would help rectify the problem. For him, it went deeper. You had to understand what was going on. If you just looked at one aspect of it, you would never understand why that student was having an issue. Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development was another theory I'd never heard of, but it makes a lot of sense. He explains how there's a difference in developing knowledge and learning knowledge. Again, something very few people that I know had ever really thought about. Learning was learning, period. But when you develop knowledge, you actually do that through your body, your nervous system, the mental functions, other body functions, your senses. A lot of your body comes into play. You're able to figure things out for yourself. So you develop that knowledge. But when you learn knowledge is through a situation you're in or some kind of stimulus that causes you to learn. These different factors are just another area that got me thinking about the future and what it means to be a teacher or a professor or just to be in front trying to help somebody learn something else. And so this has really got me excited to continue forward with my education. B.F. Skinner is someone else I have become interested in as I've continued in my education. See, he is considered the father of behaviorism. And that became important to me because coming from a small farming community and then leaving to go in the army and going overseas, you see all kinds of different cultures show up. Things you never thought about. You see why something is important to one culture but not to another. And you see, it's those things that B.F. Skinner was shedding some light on. To him, the brain is made up of three types of variants. You have natural selection, operant condition, and evolution. Now, these are the variants that he believes created all the different cultures we have. And because of evolution, things keep changing. The cultures are continuously changing. And this just keeps making for our world to continue to grow. But it also creates a different type of learner. Because the different cultures create different people. People learn in different ways. So it's important for us as educators to understand that. So what makes these people important for me personally in my educational journey? Well, like I said at the beginning, I learned how to teach in the military, both the Army and Air Force. I learned how to get my message across. I learned how to show somebody that A plus B equals C. What I never had been taught and never understood was why. What is it about A that makes it plus B equal to C? Why does that happen? What are the reasonings behind all those theories? That's what my educational journey has done for me. It's shown me why these things work. And it's those whys that I have found most important. You see, as a student back in Mississippi, those were not concerns. And I went to school back in the 70s and 80s when things were taught a lot differently. But again, it was a small country school. So there was no emphasis on the hows and whys and the theories behind these things. These are the things I want to focus on as an instructor and a professor when I'm able to start teaching. I want to make sure my students understand why things happen like they do and not just the fact that A plus B equals C. I think it's that understanding that has changed my attitude towards education, and I hope it changes my future students' attitudes towards their education and just helps them continue that drive for more knowledge and to move on into the future.